Hey there, it's Joel Wycoop, and again, I'm not a reviewer. I don't review movies and stuff like that, but as I'm getting some of these more independent ones, especially the ones I don't even have anything to do with, like Morbid Stories. Here it is. It's just the other night, I ordered a copy off of eBay. Basically, to support my friends that are doing this, Dustin Hubbard worked on it, Clint Kelly, Frank Piccarelli, or Ate the Chosen One as he's known, Crystal Pixie Adams, Phil Herman, who is the marketing guy for Aval Films, who did this. So, like I said, I'm not a reviewer guy, but I did a review for... one. I don't know if anybody still watches it or has seen it, but it's called The Cremation Station. And actually I did have a part, the guy called me and asked me if I would do a scene in it for him, you know, and I just did it as a favor. I didn't charge him or anything. I just said, yeah, man, it'd be fun to do it, and he's done some of his own things, so that was his latest cremation station. So I was more than happy to do that to my partner Tim Ritter. He also did a little scene for him too. But anyway, this is Morbid Stories, and let's get that picture up there first. Try and get it angled, a lot of light. I'm not a lighting guy. I'm not a reviewer guy. I'm not a lighting guy. Blah blah blah. Morbid Stories. Now who else? I don't know the other people like J.J. Rogers, Daniel Half, Asif Akbar, hope I'm pronouncing that right. Morbid Stories by Aval Films. Courtney Akbar. Is that right? Luke Gregory Crosby. Tim O'Hearn, Crystal Pixie Adams. Ashley May, if I'm doing that right. Ate the Chosen One. And Pete Gerard, also supporting Pete Gerard. Will DeVokes, Crystal Lovero. Shane Smith, Emma Queza, Emma. Zach Seeley, Tyree Cobbins, Austin Reel, Jocelyn Daughtry, John Serbs, Phil Herman, Lucas Cadisso, Marcus Cadisso, Kelly Cadisso, Ryan W. Phillips, Chris DeBella. Composer was Alan Menken and Adam Keese. Editor Daniel Half, written by Asif Akbar, Phil Herman, Ashley May, Clint Kelly, Wim DeVokes, and Mick Thomas. Directed by Asif Akbar, Ashley May, Clint Kelly, Will DeVokes, and Mick Thomas. So that is this one here, Morbid Stories. So again, basically, I wanted to, I try to, support my fellow filmmakers when I can. And like I said, I knew some of the guys in this, like Frank and Crystal and Dustin and Clint and Pete, all working on this. So I wanted to support them by purchasing a copy, like I said, which I did off of eBay. I don't really stream stuff a lot online for these things. I still like to have the physical copy in my hand. And I like to have the physical copies in my hand. Now, what is that? That's Earth Girls. What is that? Tales for the End 1 and 2. That's Cremation Station. Day of the Axe, and Clownado. Those are just sitting in my office. I had to put a bra on Ashley for eBay. They'd be like, hey, you can't show those movies. So anyway, Morbid Stories. So I told, when I bought the copy, I told Phil, hey man, I got a copy. And he's like, oh man, you gotta watch it. So I did watch it. It's kind of like in the vein of even my movie, Wycoop Tales, when you have a wraparound story and you have all these stories, a la Creep Show, Twilight Zone, not necessarily Twilight Zone because they didn't do a wraparound, but Creep Show would probably be the best example with the little boy in the comic book, and the comic book would show each story. The difference is the gal in here, and I think that's, I should be better prepared. See, I'm not a reviewer. I think, is that Courtney? I think it is. I think Courtney is the main girl. But rather than do it like, then I went to my friend's house and it turns into going to your friend's house, it's basically, which is kind of cool because Phil does this radio voice on here, which he did for Hell on Earth, which is very, very familiar. And then I was also almost like even I wonder if that's the same exact one. He just changed a few things or just kind of made it the same. Because in Hell on Earth, Phil comes over the radio and he goes, there are no humans left on the earth. The creatures, we call them meanies, are killing everyone. So it was kind of in the same vein. So the girl's out there with their puppy dogs, and the dogs were cute, and decides to leave, and she gets this thing on her radio, and I think it's actually in her house, that tells her that, stuff's going on and the world's coming to an end. It's kind of cool because you're hearing and I'll say this as I'm talking about the stories. Even one of the blurbs was, even the dead are coming back to life. And I can't remember if he mentions vampires, but it's supposed to be, and which is cool. What I did like that they did was they didn't format it to one thing, although a lot of the stories were vampires. But, well, now that I think of it, I think they were all vampires. Maybe Feeding Time was more of a monster, and I really like that, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. So anyway, what the general format was, it's not like just the dead coming back, just vampires. It's more of like a supernatural, almost like if Dean and Sam drove into town and ran into all these monsters, like in Supernatural. So anyway, yeah, the girl, she's getting in her car. She's supposed to be moving away from, I guess she's had distress with her boyfriend or husband, and so she's leaving to move somewhere else. And she's listening on the radio, and as she's listening, of course, things start happening. So it cuts away from her, which is the wraparound, to the, like, what I would call the first story, and I forget what it's called. I thought they'd be on the box, but they're not on the wraparound, are they? No, they're not. But then again, on Wine Coop Tales, I don't put my names of my movies on there either, the shorts. So forgive me, you have to look in the credits. The first one is, I'm trying to remember what happens. I think the couple's in bed, and don't want to tell too much of the movie either. They get a surprise at the door. Yeah, I shouldn't be giving it away, right? You shouldn't tell what it is. Well, yes, you should. To me, that's not a spoiler. That tells people, oh, that sounds cool. I want to get this. If I just go, yeah, the movie was good, people are like, well, why is it good? You got to tell me why. So to me, it's not spoiler. It's more like, tell me what the damn thing's about, and then I might get it. Otherwise, I'm not gonna get it. So it's kind of cool. The couple opens the door, and it turns out they're like vampires who they're working their way into the house. Which, of course, I'm sitting there going, dude, yeah, I'll call the police. Get off my effing porch, and I'll call the police for you. Never let anybody into your house. So anyway, they kind of get what they deserve. But that's a cool story without giving too much away, but I'm leading you into it. So you're like, oh, that's kind of intriguing. So that's kind of cool. And that's got the vampires. You can probably figure it out from there. Then once that segment ends, it just goes back to the girl in the car. She's still traveling to where she's going. Meanwhile, you're still hearing on the radio, the dead have come back to life. We don't know what's going on, but stay in your homes, stay in your houses, don't leave, don't go outside, no matter what you do. So, like I said, again, it doesn't narrow it down to one thing. It's just all like apocalyptic. Everything's happening. And then the one after that is, oh God, I knew I should have made notes. Time has come to our world is in a tailspin of chaos and despair. One young woman racing against time to the edge of the apocalypse tries to find safety from the ensuing panic, but she won't get there before bearing witness to the terrifying horrors testing humanity. Bloodthirsty vampires, evil spirits, hungry monstrosities, and ravenous zombies are only the beginning of the malicious melee of macabre madness that is Morbid Stories. I know there's a bunch of ways to pronounce macabre and macabre and blah blah. Anyway, I'm trying to remember the second one. What happens at, what is the second one? The second one is the girl. Now, I was kind of unclear on this. She's with her, she's like babysitting, and she seems really nice to the kids at first. And then, so I think what happened is once they pull out the Ouija board and start messing around, but they don't finish it, and I was always told, if you start messing with it and you don't finish by saying goodbye, that's when the madness comes after you. And there is a scene where it looks like, I don't know if it was supposed to be her, but like takes over her soul, grabs her. And then, because then she's really nasty to the kids, and I'm going, man, she's a real bitch now. She was nice, but now she's a bitch. And, of course, when her friends are starting to leave, they have to face off with her, which is these evil demon-type creature. And also the effects are pretty cool, too. So you'll have, like, the throat slashing or the throat torn out, a lot of cool vampire makeup. And so the effects are all cool too. So that's a plus right there. And then we go back to the car, and she's still kind of driving, which is fine. It's not boring. It's still cool, because every time you see the car, you're wondering what the girl's doing, and you keep hearing the radio reports. Oh, stay inside. There's evil out there. You might get killed. Be careful. The police have said stay indoors, and the dead are coming back to life. So you're hearing all this as it goes. So car's driving along. It fades away and it goes into the next one, which was I always want to say writer's block, and it's not writer's block. It's writer beware or something like that. Sorry. And that was kind of cool, because it shows this. He's an author. He's calling the guy on the phone. He's like, what's this place about? I've been here. And the other guy's like, well, just fit your accommodations. And he's like, well, yeah, I guess it's peaceful, but there's no Walmart or something, whatever he's saying in there. There's no place to rent Joel Wynkoop movies, so I'm really disappointed, but I'll still stay here. And then he hears something up in the attic, which is your first intriguing moment. Because I've found it always hard. Like, if I want to shoot like something like Killing Spree or this story, it's all in one house contained. And that's very hard to do. You got to keep the audience's attention so they're not going, this is boring, he's in one house. This keeps your attention, because as soon as he hears that thing in the attic, he's like, what the hell is that? But then he's like, I hear shit on the top of my house, and it's squirrels and possums or whatever the hell can get up there. And I'm like, what the hell is that? But I don't climb up in the attic and check it out. I need to one day. Anyways, so, I think the guy comes over and is like, is everything okay here? And the guy's like, yes. And the banter between the guy that owns the house and the guy that's the author is very funny, and I like that. I like to have that witty humor in there and stuff, and they had that, and that's where it shows. It's not really like, here's a camera, you guys jump in front of the camera and I'll shoot it. There was a script and everything, so it was well thought out. And then I don't even want to say, well, at one point, well, there's something in there, and then towards the end of it, the guy's like, well, of course I know something's up there. And then you're like, oh shit, this was like a big setup. And then I don't even want to give the line away, because it's so friggin' cool when he says his last quoted lines. That is so cool. And then, oh yeah, and then you missed it when he goes looking for it. He's finding this thing. And God, when I was watching it last night, there's another Hollywood movie that I seen. It might have been an M. Night Shyamalan. So yes, you can say, hey, he connected us to M. Night Shyamalan. When you look behind him up the stairs, you see this creature sitting there all hunched over. And I was like, oh, now that's cool. They really thought this out. And there's some other elements in there about it that I thought were really, really cool. So yeah, then I get to talking. Then the guy kind of admits that it's a certain something. And then your climax, which is really, really cool. So I had to watch it twice, because I was starting to fall asleep. Not because of the movie, because I was just frigging tired. I thought the guy's leg was all bloody, but I thought it was torn off. And I was like, oh man, it ripped his leg off, cool. And then I watched it again and found out it was just his foot, which is still fine. But yeah, I could see, I could, if you really had the time, I'd make that sucker into a feature. That was really cool. But yeah, and then there was some more money. You could have the guy being torn apart, but I really liked that story. I thought that story was cool. Then we go to, son of a bitch. I had all these names down last night. Now I remember what that one, well, no, I don't, I guess. But the next one is got my buddy Frank Piccarelli, the chosen one, Crystal Pixie Adams, and Pete Gerard. And this one was directed, I think it was directed by Clint Kelly and shot by Clint Kelly. And Dustin Hubbard, I believe, was the producer, I believe. If I'm correct. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure. And this one was cool too. It starts out with Crystal Pixie Adams is, I guess, at her apartment, and right away it's her boyfriend's coming to see her, which is Frank. And I'll give it up for Frank. Frank did a really good job in this. He's different than the way he is in... He's different in this than the way he was in Heartbreak Killer. And he's different in this than when he was in Crack Baby Billionaire. And I'm trying to think what else Frank's that I've seen him in. This is something different. Even Descort Service 3. This is kind of a different character, because Frank's got a little bit of, I think he was happy at one point, which was cool to see him, break out of just being mad and mad, or just grumpy or confused. It was nice to see him happy at one point until Crystal's character makes him kind of sad because of what she's going through. And then, so I give it up to Frank for that. Pete Gerard did an awesome Dawn of the Dead zombie. I was like, someone else might have just done it like, but he did Dawn of the Dead, and I bet you $1,000 the guy watched Dawn of the Dead, George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, before he shot that scene. Because he was doing a Dawn of the Dead zombie by George Romero, which is when the zombie in Dawn of the Dead are standing there like this, they're like, like that, and then going forward onto where they're going. After the people they're gonna eat. So it was cool to see that, and it was neat because you kind of see a little thing with between vampires and zombies, what might happen if they meet. I'm gonna tell you no more about that. The effects are really cool in this too. Then, without giving too much of away, there's like a sickness from Crystal's part, which you're gonna see that anyway right away. Again, the people that are going, you're giving it away. Well, nobody's going to watch it if you don't tell them what to. That's like saying, then you know what? You gave everything away by showing a picture of the girl and that. And Morbid, you should just make a white cover and go, watch this because it's good. Because someone could bitch about this too. Oh, they gave it away. They got a synopsis. That's a spoiler. Shut up. So, and then, like I said, Frank was doing a really good job. I really enjoyed that. I mean, and all the actors, too. I mean, all the actors. I don't want to just say, oh, Frank and Crystal, my buddies, and Pete. And everybody did a good job on this. This guy is that publisher guy. He's the guy that is trying to write his book. And then I think this is Courtney. Pretty sure that's Courtney. Forgive me if I'm wrong. And this is one of the chicks from the babysitting one. That one is probably the only one I would have said I wish they would have done a little more with, like saying, they're coming over. Okay, let's do this. It'll be fun. Give us a little more of it to explain why, stuff happened at the end. But still good. And then that's Crystal there. Her makeup in this is really, really cool. See, that tells you right there. So I'm not giving anything away. Look at the friggin' back of the box. It shows Crystal with vampire teeth. So nobody give me grief about, you told what Crystal's doing. And then these are the guys that come to the house. Not that you can see it. But see, so I ain't giving away shit. Anyway, but yeah, so that was cool to see Crystal doing that in a different role. Crystal doing a different role from a Chaos AD or a Descort or what else? Crystal's done a lot of stuff, and now that I can't think of any of them. But this is Crystal's. From what I've seen, although I did babysit Odin the night they did JVH, and she did some different stuff there too. But this is, she's actually doing some acting rather than just like, if she's like either a victim or she's just kind of going, hey, here they are. She's doing some acting, which is cool to see her do this. So, and again, to give it up to Pete Gerard, I thought that zombie, because some of these people think, oh, he's just a zombie in it. Well, he did a damn good job. He didn't walk around like this. It wasn't like that. It was very George Romero, Dawn of the Dead with a... like they have to turn like that to move. They're very rigid, these ones are. So I thought that was cool. And then the wrap up of it all, of course, Crystal's, like I said, it already shows it. So she's a vampire, and of course she turns on Frank. And so that's really, really cool. I like the acting in it. I thought the effects for what they were very cool. And of course it's low budget. I mean, we're all shooting low budget, So it was really, really neat. And then it goes out of them back to the car. And we haven't seen this guy. I don't think there's any picture. What would have been kind of cool in the whole wraparound, maybe that girl, and maybe they have it. I'd have to watch it again. Maybe there are pictures of him, but it'd be cool if like she was looking a picture at him and she's like, oh, Mike, I loved you, but things just didn't work out, shithead, and throw the picture or something. But then we know who he is. Because at the end we see, and if you're like, don't spoil it, then turn the video off. Luke Skywalker's dad is Darth Vader, in case you didn't know. And so anyway, she ends up kind of meeting back with him, and then there's another killing there that I won't give away. But then that's their wraparound story. Instead of like in the Creepshow book, you're showing the comic flipping pages, and then it goes into a story. in my movie in Wine Coop Tales, my character's going, I got another story I'd like to tell you if you don't mind, ma'am. It's a story about a man and a woman, and it starts out like this. And then it goes right into the movie. So this was cool, because she's driving the car. You get to hear all the guy on the radio. In fact, the guy on the radio is even like, oh, they're here in the studio, they're breaking in. I think that's from another movie, too. I think there's another movie where a guy's in a studio and they all break in. The monsters all break in. But either way, it's a cool little thing. It was really, really fun to watch. And actually, a lot of times when I'll watch something, like, my wife will kill me, but we went to see Zombieland 2 Double Tap. I will never watch that again. This is why sometimes I'm like, independent movies are so much better than Hollywood movies. But this was really, really good, and I could see myself, I would probably take this, and one night when I'm home alone again, and I want to watch something, I'd put this in again. I'd watch this again from very beginning to very end. That's another thing. I don't sit there with my controller and fast forward, oh, this looks boring, I'll fast forward to the other stuff. I don't do that. I put it in and I watch it. People made an attempt to make a movie for you to watch, and somebody else quoted saying this, and then I kind of took their quote. Did it entertain you for 80 minutes? Yeah, it did. And that's what you're supposed to come out of a movie. Were you entertained? Yeah. So there you go. So that's Morbid Stories. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a fun movie. And I hope people out there check it out. Get it. Get it where you can. Sorry, I'm not holding the DVD right. It's like you're trying to watch it and see, oh, am I doing it right? There you go. And then I got a glare of light on there, but I think you get the story. It's Morbid Stories, so check it out. You can see it on Facebook. You can go to Avail, A-V-A-I-L, Avail Films. You can check it out with, look it up on Facebook. You can see Phil Herman talks about it, and I'm sure Frank and Crystal all have it on their pages. So check it out. It's called Morbid Stories, and it's pretty damn good, and that's what Wine Coop says. So there, Morbid Stories. There she blows. Morbid Stories. Yeah, cool.